It's a fantastic day on Melrose Mountain. This is Wednesday, and a lot of people say, well, times are changing. Things change with time. That's true. There are a lot of things that change with time, but one thing that doesn't change with time is God. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And his commands and his instructions are the same today as they were 2,000 years before Christ was born and 2,000 years after Christ was born. What do I mean by that? If we went to Exodus chapter 20, we would find in verse 13, thou shalt not murder. Verse 14, thou shalt not commit adultery. Verse 15, thou shalt not steal. Verse 16, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Verse 17, thou shalt not covet. In Romans chapter 13, not just 2,000 years after Christ, but 2,000 years before Christ, as well as 2,000 years after, we find that God still has the same standards. Romans 13:9, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet, and love your neighbor as yourself. Pay your taxes, he says in verse 6. Now, it's really important for us to remember that these are God's standards. And the only thing that Jesus did was he brought not only the law, but the spirit of the law. He said, if you look at a woman with lust in your heart, it's adultery. I just read an article that said that pornography was a serious problem amongst all ages. It's really important for us to remember that these standards that God set 2,000 years before Christ are just as valid today as they were 2,000 years before. But there's other scripture verses that we need to remember that haven't changed. In Proverbs 6:6 it says, observe the ant and how he toils and works. In Ecclesiastes 5:10 it says, the love of money is a terrible, terrible thing. You know, if we look at the three things that God says we need, love, restrictions, and a chance to achieve, and we think about those three things, all this business about free education, food stamps, benevolent programs, giveaways, they're wonderful things for true emergencies and for people who are on a short-term need. Student loans are a great thing. But to just give away an education without any responsibility, whether you get passing grades, how hard you work, I don't think so. After I graduated high school, I went to work for a company that paid your education. But wait a minute. They didn't pay it like the government's talking about paying it. If you got A's, you got your tuition in your books. If you got B's, you got your tuition only. If you got C's, you got 50% of your tuition only. Anything below a C, you got nothing. And nothing was paid to you until you finished the class. Giveaway programs, they don't give us a chance to achieve. Not only that, but they encourage us to be lazy. I don't think God's word's changed about those things. I don't think that we need GoFundMe pages so somebody can take a half a year off after they had a baby. If you learn to live within the means that you have, and you learn to live on one income, then you can take as much time off with your baby as you want. You can stay at home with that baby until it starts school. The problem is that today, too many people are counting on two incomes, dependent upon. Their whole financial setup is set around both people working forever. That's why they're saying that they want these long leaves. No, nothing's changed. God says we should be diligent. We should work hard. We should be frugal. And we should plan our finances. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.